Patch Kincaid's epic journey to the assassinations and turmoil of the 1960s begins in another timeline in 1986. The prescient knowledge dropped in Chapter 1 shows former President Kennedy alive, with a public presence, and the subsequent grouping of presidents vary. Much different from our understanding of history. In this clip from the Kennedy Paradox, Chapter 1, Patch Kincaid is driving through the Rockies about to be contacted by his boss and mentor Ray Mankiewicz about a potential nuclear threat which will send him back to 1961 and the Bay of Pigs invasion. Here's the beginning to the first chapter of the Kennedy Paradox.
He smiled at the thought, turned on the radio, and scanned the dial for the Kennedy program. He found it on a scratchy AM station. The former president maintained the most listened-to political information program in the United States about what the foreign policy of the United States should be. He made to make it clear we should be the force of the world, to strive for peace, and work together with emerging governments. Yeah, well, that's all well and good, but we need to stand up to our enemies. Do you have any idea what this means? Yes, I've had a few years of public service. You should have taken the general's advice and bombed Cuba during your administration and started World War III. 90 million Americans dead in a matter of minutes. Just let me add, if the caller is still there, right here. During the 8 years of the Kennedy administration, we became fully aware that by putting 100% trust in all military advice restricts one to a certain mindset. The generals and the CIA were in favor of the Vietnam action. Vietnam, to address your assertion, was not in the general interest of the United States. And I think it was the feeling in 1965 when we began bringing our forces back. In 1963, I signed NSAM 263, beginning the withdrawal of 1,000 troops from Vietnam. This, of course, was just the first step to total withdrawal in 1965. Even President Nixon said it was a mistake to bring the boys back. He said that at the time, yes, and I won't belabor that point, but I will say that reaching for peace and talking with the Russians led to the final collapse of the Soviet Union and led to terrorism. There are ramifications to every move on the world stage in the post-Cold War era, and we have to adjust to those realities. But we also must realize that our actions in the long run can lead to terrorism by supplying unwarranted armament to warring parties. Nixon would disagree. I'm sure he would, and will. We'll have an ample opportunity to discuss the ramifications with President Nixon when he is my guest for all 4 hours on the Thursday. We'll pause now and be back in the next half hour. You're listening to the Kennedy program on the World News Network.